Have you ever trusted someone so deeply, only to feel their silence when you needed them most? Have you ever wondered why some people seem warm and loving one day, and completely distant the next? Here's a truth no one likes to admit: the people who love the hardest often hurt the deepest. And no one embodies this paradox more than Scorpio. You've probably heard that Scorpios are intense, mysterious, maybe even dangerous. But what if I told you that's only half the story? What if behind every guarded Scorpio, there's a soul trying to protect itself from a pain it's felt too many times before? In this video, we're going far beyond astrology stereotypes. We're going inside the Scorpio mind. We'll explore the emotional battles they fight silently. Their loyalty that feels like home, until you lose it. And their darkness, not as something evil, but as something they've learned to live with, and sometimes, use as armor. By the end of this journey, you won't just understand Scorpios better. You'll understand something deeper about yourself. So if you're ready to dive into the hidden psychology of Scorpio, if you're curious to uncover why their kindness feels unforgettable, but their silence feels like punishment, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Like this video if you've ever felt that emotional pull from a Scorpio. And share it with someone who needs to hear this. Because today, we're uncovering what Scorpios will never tell you. When a Scorpio gives you their loyalty, it's not just friendship. It's not just love. It's a contract written silently in their heart. You might never hear them say it out loud, but they've chosen you. They've decided that you belong in their inner world. And that world isn't easily open to just anyone. What most people don't understand is that Scorpio loyalty isn't casual. It's sacred. It's a deep psychological bond that once formed shapes how they see you, how they trust you, and how they protect you. Think about the times when someone stood up for you when no one else did. Someone who defended you without needing a reason. That's the kind of loyalty Scorpio offers. But here's the catch. That same loyalty can turn into a blade if it's betrayed. The reason it hurts so deeply when someone breaks Scorpio's trust is simple. They didn't just trust you. They rewrote part of themselves around you. You weren't just a friend. You were part of their emotional foundation. And when that foundation cracks, they don't just feel hurt. They feel like a part of themselves was stolen. This is why Scorpios can go from warm to cold in ways that confuse everyone around them. People say they changed. But the truth is, they didn't. They're protecting what's left of themselves. You see, their loyalty isn't just about protecting you. It's about protecting their own emotional core. In psychology, we call this a survival pattern. They give fully, but only until their mind detects danger. And when it does, their heart pulls back long before their actions show it. Have you ever felt someone pull away from you without warning? That silence, that distance, often comes from someone who once cared more than you realized. For Scorpios, silence is their last defense. Not revenge. Not punishment. Just survival. And here's where it gets even deeper. Scorpios don't just sense emotions. They absorb them. Imagine walking into a room and feeling everything people are hiding. That's daily life for a Scorpio. They don't just listen to words. They listen to energy. They read facial expressions, notice the slight pause before a reply, feel the tension in a laugh that doesn't reach the eyes. This emotional radar is both their greatest gift and their biggest burden. Because it allows them to connect with you on a level you might not even understand. But it also means, when they feel hurt, they don't just feel the surface pain. They feel the entire undercurrent. Every unspoken word. Every hidden intention. Every lie you thought they didn't notice. Have you ever tried to comfort someone and felt like they understood your pain before you even spoke? That's Scorpio empathy. It's not sympathy. It's not simple compassion. It's merging with you emotionally. Feeling your storm while carrying their own. And that's exhausting. This is why many Scorpios become selective with who they open up to. Every new connection is a risk. Because every emotion they absorb, they carry. In life, we often misunderstand people who feel too much. We label them as dramatic, overly sensitive. But sensitivity isn't weakness. It's awareness. And for Scorpios, it's survival. Now, imagine what happens when someone like that is betrayed. It's not just disappointment. It's emotional betrayal at the deepest level. They feel every hidden layer of that betrayal. And once that happens, something changes inside them permanently. And yet, they stay silent. That's the paradox. The ones who feel the most often speak the least. Because explaining their pain feels like exposing a wound no one can heal. If you know a Scorpio, or maybe you are one, you'll recognize this next part. From the moment they meet someone, they start observing. Not to judge, but to understand. You see, Scorpios don't trust words. They trust patterns, behavior, energy. Every conversation, every interaction, is being quietly analyzed. And it's not because they're paranoid. It's because they've been hurt before. Their mind works like a radar, noticing small details most people ignore. The slight change in tone when someone lies. The subtle shift in body language when someone hides something. Scorpios collect all this data silently. And here's where it gets interesting. Their silence isn't weakness. It's strategy. While others talk, they watch. While others act impulsively, they wait. And when they choose to act, it's precise. It's intentional. And it's unstoppable. Have you ever felt like someone saw through you without saying a word? That's Scorpio's silent observation at work. It's not manipulation. It's survival intelligence. They need to understand others deeply because trusting the wrong person can be devastating for them. And that's the key to understanding why no one can truly control a Scorpio. You can't control someone who has spent their whole life learning how to control themselves. But why do people feel so drawn to them in the first place? Why does their presence feel magnetic even when they say nothing? It's because of their aura. Scorpios carry an energy that words can't explain. It's not about physical beauty. It's not about being loud or funny. It's about emotional depth. People feel it. And they're drawn to it, even if they don't understand why. Have you ever felt curious about someone without knowing why? That's the Scorpio effect. It's their mystery. But that mystery isn't created on purpose. It's a result of their inner complexity. Scorpios only show what they choose to show. They reveal fragments of themselves, not the whole picture. And every piece they reveal is calculated. Not to deceive, but to protect. Because underneath that magnetic energy is a soul that's been hurt and rebuilt many times. Their mystery is both their charm and their armor. People fall for the light, but forget that darkness lives there too. And once Scorpio senses danger, they pull back without warning. No explanation. No farewell. Just distance. That's not cruelty. That's their way of surviving betrayal before it happens. In life, people fear what they can't predict. And that's why many fear losing a Scorpio's warmth. Because when they disconnect, it's permanent. Not because they stopped caring, but because caring started hurting too much. So, next time you feel that magnetic pull from a Scorpio, remember. It's not just mystery. It's emotional history. It's silent battles. It's a heart that gives fully, but only to those who prove they deserve it. And that is where their true power begins. When a Scorpio listens to you, something strange happens. You feel seen. Completely. Not just your words, not just your story, but the emotions behind it. The silence in your voice. The pauses you didn't realize you made. And in that moment, it feels like they're reading parts of you that even you forgot existed. Their eyes don't wander. Their focus doesn't drift. Every word you say, every small expression, it's like they absorb it into their mind and soul. And that's not an exaggeration. It's how they connect. But what most people don't realize is that this kind of attention comes at a price. Scorpios listen to understand, not just to reply. And when they understand you, they understand exactly where your pain lives. They store it silently. Not to hurt you. Not to use it. But because they care. Yet the danger is, if one day you betray that trust, they will know exactly how to disconnect from you in a way that cuts the deepest. It's not revenge. It's protection. Imagine telling someone your greatest fears, your private struggles, and then feeling them disappear from your life one day, without a reason. That's what it feels like when a Scorpio stops listening. When they pull their energy back. You don't notice the moment it happens, but you feel the emptiness when it's gone. Their listening is a gift. But it's a gift they take away once they decide you no longer deserve that space in their heart. And that's why people say Scorpio is dangerous. Not because they want to harm you. But because when they disconnect, it's silent. It's total. And there's no second invitation. Think of it like this. When a Scorpio loves you, you are under their protection. Fully. You may not even notice it happening. They defend you without telling you. They step in when you're not strong enough to defend yourself. They become your silent shield. But don't mistake their silence for absence. If someone threatens someone they care about, Scorpio doesn't wait for permission. They act. Quietly. Strategically. Powerfully. That protection is not for show. It's not for praise. It's because they feel emotionally bonded to the people they love. And when that bond is formed, it's stronger than logic. You might notice them standing up for you in situations where others would stay quiet. You might feel their presence beside you when life gets difficult. That's because Scorpios aren't passive protectors. They move with purpose. With clarity. And they never fight for attention. They fight for people. But here's the warning. That same protective energy can turn against you if you betray them. The silence, the cold distance, the lack of words, all of that becomes a new form of protection. Not for you, but from you. With Scorpios, you are either behind their shield, or you're outside it. Watching it close. And this is where many people misunderstand Scorpio's emotional world. Their emotions are not casual. They don't kind of care. They don't half love anyone. Every feeling they experience, whether love or anger, sadness or joy, runs deep into their soul. When they love, they don't just say it. They live it. Every thought, every plan. Every day includes you. You become part of their inner world. But that depth has a sharp edge. When Scorpios feel pain, they don't just feel sad. They feel the entire spectrum of heartbreak. Betrayal. Grief. Even anger at themselves for trusting. And unlike others, they don't let these feelings fade quickly. They sit with them. They process them. And inside their mind, those emotions start building walls. Walls that protect them from feeling that pain again. Have you ever known someone who seemed perfectly fine after a breakup, but months later, you realized they never really healed? That's a Scorpio after deep emotional pain. They carry the hurt long after they stop showing it. This is why, when a Scorpio pulls away from you, it feels sudden, but it's not. It's been building inside them for longer than you can imagine. And this leads us to something that can feel almost supernatural about Scorpios. Their intuition. They don't just sense lies. They feel them. Imagine walking into a room and feeling that something is wrong without anyone saying a word. That's their everyday reality. They pick up on shifts in energy, on the words not spoken, on the emotions hidden behind a smile. You might think you're fooling them, but the moment they sense the hesitation in your voice, or the glance that lasted too long, they knew something was off. And the scariest part? They won't always tell you. They let you keep pretending while they quietly rearrange how they see you. Their intuition doesn't just protect them from people. It guides their decisions in life, career choices, friendships, even moments of danger. They trust their gut because it rarely fails. And once their instinct tells them that someone is not safe emotionally, their mind makes the decision long before their words do. They may keep smiling. They may keep listening. But inside, they've already decided to step back. Their silence, once again, is strategy. And once Scorpio changes how they feel about you, it's permanent. You might think you have time to fix things. But in their world, trust isn't repaired. It's replaced. Their intuition is their shield. And once it tells them to walk away, they don't look back. But if you think that's intense, you're not ready for what's coming. Because the final 3 insights we'll explore in this video will reveal the deepest truths. The parts of Scorpio that even they may struggle to accept. And once you hear them, you may never see a Scorpio the same way again. Forgiveness. It's a word that many people throw around easily. But for a Scorpio, forgiveness doesn't come with forgetting. When you hurt them, when you betray them, something inside quietly records every detail. Every word you said. Every choice you made. And especially, how it made them feel. They don't need revenge to feel better. They don't need to punish you to move on. Instead, they store the memory. Not as hatred, but as protection. That memory becomes part of their internal map. A reminder of where not to walk again. And the most surprising part? They might forgive you. They might smile at you. They might even offer you another chance. But deep down, you'll never stand in the same place in their heart again. Think about someone you once trusted completely. Think about the moment you realized they weren't who you believed. That silent pain. That quiet shift inside you. That's how Scorpio holds on to betrayal. Not out of anger, but out of need. They remember to survive. And here's what makes it dangerous for anyone who tries to manipulate them. Scorpios remember patterns. They remember the mask you wore. And the moment it slips. They never forget what's behind it. They don't seek impulsive payback. They wait. And when they decide it's time to cut ties, their actions are precise. You won't hear threats. You won't see a warning. You'll just feel them vanish from your life. Because once a Scorpio learns who you really are, there's no undoing that knowledge. Now, most people think confrontation is loud. Shouting. Drama. Arguments in public. But not with a Scorpio. When conflict comes, they don't run. And they don't explode. They face it. Calm. Controlled. Their words are few. But they carry weight. It's not about proving a point. It's about setting a boundary. Imagine standing in front of someone who isn't angry, but certain. Someone who speaks truth without raising their voice. That's the power of Scorpio confrontation. They won't sugarcoat things to protect your feelings. If you crossed a line, they'll tell you. Not as a threat, but as a fact. And when a Scorpio states facts, people listen. Their presence alone shifts the energy in a conversation. It's not intimidation by force. It's clarity. They're not trying to win. They're trying to be understood. And once they've said what needs to be said, they expect respect. Not apologies. Not promises. Just respect for the boundary they've drawn. And if that boundary isn't honored, they won't keep explaining. They'll simply walk away. This directness often scares people. But it's not arrogance. It's emotional strength. Scorpios understand something many people don't, that silence can be power. That walking away is sometimes louder than any argument. Now, let's talk about something that confuses almost everyone. The Scorpio calm. When chaos breaks out, when others yell, panic, or break down, Scorpios go quiet. And this silence is not peace. It's calculation. While others react, Scorpios think. While others shout, Scorpios observe. And in that stillness, they're making decisions, planning actions, preparing to act. Their calm is not surrender. It's the eye of the storm. And here's what you need to understand, that silence? It's a warning. Because once they've watched enough, felt enough, decided enough, their response doesn't come from emotion. It comes from certainty. And when they act, it's not impulsive. It's final. Have you ever argued with someone and felt blindsided when they quietly said, "This conversation is over," and meant it? That's Scorpio. Their calm isn't kindness. It's precision. People think rage is dangerous. But a Scorpio's silence? That's the real threat. Because when they move after being silent, they've already accepted the consequences. They're done processing. They're ready to act. And when they act, you won't hear warning shots. You'll just feel the change. So, never mistake a Scorpio's quiet for weakness. It's their deadliest moment. And why do people feel like they can never predict a Scorpio's reaction? It's because Scorpios never reveal their cards. They're masters of control. Emotional self-control. Psychological self-control. You can talk to them for hours. Laugh with them. Cry with them. And still, you won't know what they're truly thinking. They'll let you believe you understand them. But deep down, they're protecting something, themselves. Their emotions are precious. Their vulnerability isn't for everyone. They don't hide because they're cold. They hide because experience taught them that not everyone deserves to know their truth. You might think they're open with you. But ask yourself, have they ever told you how they feel when they're alone? What they fear at night? Probably not. Because they show what they choose to show. And that's why, when a Scorpio's patience ends, the shift feels like a storm. It's not sudden. It's accumulated. Every time you dismissed their feelings. Every time you crossed a silent boundary. Every time you lied, thinking they didn't know. It all builds up. Until one day, the mask drops. And what was once warmth turns to coldness. Their anger isn't explosive. It's exact. Their silence turns into finality. Because Scorpios don't overreact. They calculate. Their control is not manipulation. It's survival. And once they decide they've had enough, you'll see a side of them you never believed existed. Not because they enjoy hurting people, but because they've been holding back more than you ever imagined. And that's where their true danger lives. In everything they never said. But if you think this is where the story ends, you're wrong. Because the final 3 truths about Scorpio are the most profound. And perhaps the most controversial. They're not just about Scorpio's personality. They're about their soul. And once you understand those, you'll never look at a Scorpio the same way again. Have you ever met someone who feels everything too much? Someone who can't love halfway? Someone who gives their heart entirely or not at all? That's how Scorpio lives their life. Passion, for them, isn't just a feeling. It's how they breathe. Whether they love you, work beside you, or stand against you, their intensity shows in everything they do. When a Scorpio cares about something, it's not an interest. It's a commitment. Think about someone who can work for hours on something they believe in, forgetting to eat, losing track of time. That's Scorpio energy. Focused. Consumed. Alive in what they're doing. But here's the side most people miss. That same passion that makes them powerful can also break them. Because when they're hurt, that passion doesn't disappear. It flips. What once burned for love now fuels distance. What once felt like warmth now turns cold. And once that passion dies, reigniting it becomes almost impossible. You see, Scorpios aren't people who settle for kind of. They don't pretend to be okay when they're not. They don't fake feelings just to keep peace. That's why their relationships are unforgettable. You're either loved deeply or you're gone. And this brings us to something even more powerful. When you're with a Scorpio, you'll feel something most people never give you. You'll feel chosen. Truly chosen. Have you ever sat with someone and felt like, in that moment, nothing else existed? Like you weren't just heard, but seen? That's the gift Scorpio gives without realizing it. When they care about you, their focus is total. Their attention is intense. And it makes you feel special. Important. Real. They'll remember the details you forget about yourself. The way your voice changed when you talked about your dreams. The things you said once, in passing, that they never forgot. With them, you don't feel like just another person. You feel like you matter. Like you've been let inside a space that most people don't even know exists. But here's where it gets painful. If you ever take that connection for granted, if you lie or betray their trust, they won't argue with you. They won't ask you why. They'll just pull away. And that absence? That silence? It'll hurt more than any argument ever could. Because Scorpios don't fight for attention. They don't beg for love. When they give you their energy, it's a gift. But when they take it back, it's final. So if you've ever lost a Scorpio, if you've ever felt that sudden emotional void, understand this. They didn't walk away to hurt you. They walked away because staying would hurt them. Their energy is rare. And they protect it once it's been wounded. Now, let's talk about something few people recognize. Scorpio's resilience. It's easy to think that people who feel deeply break easily. But that's not true for Scorpio. They might fall. They might even shatter. But they don't stay broken. Scorpios rebuild themselves. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every failure doesn't destroy them. It transforms them. They don't cry forever. They don't remain victims. They process the pain, and then they rise. Stronger. Quieter. And much harder to reach. Imagine a person who remembers who hurt them. Not to seek revenge. But to remember who not to trust next time. That's how Scorpio moves forward. Every wound becomes part of their armor. Every lesson, another layer of protection. And when you meet them again, after they've healed, you'll realize something. They're no longer the person who let you hurt them. In life, we often admire people who survive. But Scorpios don't just survive. They evolve. Pain doesn't define them. It shapes them. So, if you're someone trying to heal after betrayal, learn from Scorpio. Let your pain teach you. Let your failures fuel your transformation. And when you're ready, rise without looking back. Because sometimes, the greatest revenge is your own growth. Now, here's a truth that might surprise you. Scorpios aren't people who promise much. They don't use words to impress. They use actions to prove. You'll never hear them say, "Trust me. I'll be there." You'll simply see them show up. You'll notice them standing beside you when everyone else disappears. And when they choose to leave, they won't explain. They won't create drama. They'll just be gone. Because for Scorpio, actions speak louder than anything else. Think of someone in your life who doesn't say much, but when they act, you can feel the meaning behind it. That's how Scorpio loves. That's how they protect. And that's how they leave. If they trust you, you'll see it in their presence, their loyalty, their quiet strength. If they stop trusting you, you'll feel the absence before you understand why. Their silence isn't emptiness. It's a message. And the scariest part? When they're done, there are no warnings. No second chances. You don't watch a Scorpio walk away. You realize they've already gone. Because when they decide to act, it's final. And that's what makes them both dependable and terrifying. But what if I told you, this isn't even the deepest truth about Scorpios? Because everything you've heard so far, the loyalty, the passion, the resilience, it all leads to something bigger. In the next part of this video, we'll uncover the final 3 insights. And they're not just about Scorpio's personality. They're about their soul. These last truths will change how you see them forever. And maybe, how you see yourself. Have you ever met someone who can turn cold in just 1 second? You're talking, everything feels warm, comfortable, and then suddenly, their energy shifts. You can't explain why, but you feel it. Their eyes harden. Their tone changes. And their silence becomes louder than any words. This is what it feels like when a Scorpio shuts down. It's not a game. It's not punishment. It's self-defense. The moment they sense betrayal, disrespect, or even emotional danger, their heart freezes. Not because they want to hurt you, but because staying open would hurt them. Their warmth disappears without explanation. The conversations stop. The energy between you shifts. And the most painful part? They don't explain why. They don't tell you what you did wrong. They just stop showing up. And no matter how much you beg, apologize, or try to pull them back, they don't feel guilty for walking away. Because Scorpios don't pretend to feel what they don't. Once their heart goes cold, it rarely warms up again. If you've ever experienced this, you know how painful it is. One day you feel like you're their world, and the next, you're just a stranger. This is the final wall in Scorpio's emotional defense system. When trust is broken, they don't rebuild it. They remove you from their emotional world completely. And what makes it even harder to understand is that they won't explain their decision. To a Scorpio, explaining their pain to the person who caused it feels like reopening a wound. So they simply close the door. And now, we reach one of the deepest truths about Scorpios. They don't need a crowd. While most people seek constant connection, external validation, or attention from the outside world, Scorpios turn inward. They're selective with their energy. Not because they're arrogant, but because every connection costs them something. They don't collect friends. They choose them. To a Scorpio, solitude isn't loneliness. It's healing. When they're hurt, when they're processing betrayal or rebuilding after loss, they seek silence. Not to escape, but to reflect. In their solitude, they heal. They rebuild their trust in themselves. And when they return, they're stronger. Colder, maybe. But wiser. This is what makes them so unmanageable to people who try to control them. You can't control someone who's not afraid to be alone. They don't chase relationships that drain them. They don't cling to people who don't respect their soul. When they realize they chose the wrong person, they simply withdraw. And when they disappear, it's not about revenge. It's about peace. Because for Scorpios, walking away isn't weakness. It's strength. And once you're outside their circle, you rarely get back in. So if you're loved by a Scorpio, understand the honor of that space. Respect it. Protect it. Because once you lose it, no words will open that door again. Now, maybe you're wondering, why does all this matter? Because understanding Scorpio isn't just about understanding a zodiac sign. It's about understanding what happens inside all of us. We all carry a part of Scorpio within us. The part that loves deeply. The part that remembers pain. The part that learns to protect itself after trusting too much. The part that stays silent when words feel useless. Scorpios teach us something important. Protect your energy. Choose people carefully. But when you choose, give them everything. And when they break that trust, learn to walk away, not to hurt them, but to protect yourself. Maybe that's why Scorpios feel dangerous to some people. Not because they want control, but because they refuse to be controlled. So as you listen to this now, maybe think about your own boundaries. Your own energy. Are you giving your loyalty to people who deserve it? Or are you handing it to people who drain your soul? If this video made you think even just a little, that's a good thing. Because sometimes, understanding others helps us finally understand ourselves. If you saw yourself in this video, or if you recognized someone you know, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Hit like if you've ever felt this emotional pull or this quiet pain. And subscribe to this channel if you're ready to explore more hidden truths about the human mind, about astrology, and about yourself. Because this is just the beginning. There are many more stories to tell. And many more secrets waiting to be revealed.